G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we are on Highview on the ranked ladder to watch two of the world's best players face off against one another, spawning in on the southeast side of the map. In the colour red, playing as the Knights Templar, it's Crackety here. And on the northwest side of the map, in the colour blue, playing as the Rus, it's Deniskya. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a casted game. A pleasure to have your company on this brand new Highview. Of course, there's been some changes to this map in recent times. Most notably, the sacred sites have been moved around, so they're no longer in the corners of the map. And we've also got these brand new abandoned outposts, which you can capture, very similar to a sacred site, and they give you line of sight, which is absolutely a welcome change on a map, which has got a lot of stealth forest on it. So let's talk a little bit about what we can expect today. So number one, I expect that we'll see cavalry. We are going to see a lot of cavalry. Cavalry is, of course, very good on maps where your reaction time is limited. And this is one of those maps because it gives you that extra mobility. And I tell you what, I like that. And if you like that, then go ahead and leave a like on the video. That's the best I can give you when it comes to the segues. I'm trying to improve them, but I don't know. I don't know, man. Segways aren't my strong suit. I've always been more of a bicyclist. But let's talk a little bit about what we can expect out of Crackety here. So, first and foremost, I think a second TC is going to make a lot of sense here. I suspect he probably won't go into a third TC. We haven't really seen players doing that other than Faye. And obviously, she did that against Louis MT, if I remember correctly. So, there was definitely something to be said about it. But we haven't really seen it that often. Or not even seen it that often. We haven't even seen it outside of her. So, I don't think Crackety's going to be doing that. I suspect it's probably going to be like 2 TC into feudal play, because obviously you're up against the Rus, you're up against Knights, you're up against a civilization that's got the ability to get a lot of units out on the map in the feudal age. So we'll take a look and see whether or not we get that from Dennis today. Now, another thing to note is that there has been a rise in recent times of the Polish. The Polish are the Imperial Age commandery for the Knights Templar, and I'm curious to see whether or not we get that today. I suspect we probably will, and I wouldn't be surprised if what we actually get is players looking to try and get Imperial earlier on the Knights Templar, just simply because of how good Poland is. So it basically provides you extra health on your cav, it gives you extra charge damage on your cav, and it gives you the ability to build a unique Polish cavalry, which is just a whole nother level of power when you compare it to like the baseline knight. Now, the age ups are starting to come through. Kingdom of France coming through for Crackety here, which is pretty standard at this point. We're not too surprised to see this. Golden Gate coming down on the other side of the map as well for Dennis. Now, this one has been a little bit of a shift, and it's kind of funny how the meta shifts, because we've seen the Kremlin, we've seen the Golden Gate through different phases of the Rus. But today we see the Golden Gate is quite a bit more common than the Kremlin. In fact, I can't remember the last time I saw the Kremlin. Now that I think about it, when was the last time that we saw the Kremlin? It had to be in the previous patch, even before the previous patch, potentially. The Golden Gate's been very popular in recent times, but we'll keep an eye on it and see exactly how Dennis looks to play this one out. But my suspicion is probably a second TC. You can see he is building up quite a bit of wood at the moment, but I mean, this is kind of to be expected. Another house going to be coming out as well for him. Crackety on the other side of the map, actually not going to be going into the second TC. Instead, mixing things up a little bit, surprising me right now. So I suspect we're probably going to see a stable drop right at the front of the base here. He's got 2 vills ready to drop it. Ready to drop it. Ready to drop the stable. Okay, there's the stable coming down next to the town center. So he's going to drop it with the vills, or the food vills. Unfortunately, kills the sheep a little bit too far away from the TC, but I'm sure he'll be okay there with that one. You're still kind of close. So going to be rushing a stable here, and I wonder what the mindset is behind this, because normally he can have the town center up at about 4 minutes. So not going to be looking to play that. Dennis on the other side of the map is going to be hitting the mining camp up on the gold. Stable coming up for him as well. So already we see it is going to be that cavalry opening, sort of what we alluded to a bit earlier about there being cavalry on a map, especially a map that is more difficult to predict where your opponent is going to be. But the first of the Pilgrims makes its way out. Only 83 gold to start us off with here. Kind of weird that Crackety went for this one first, but there's also a part of me that understands, just because you kind of want to get that gold rolling as soon as you get it, because see, now as an example, if you didn't have that gold, I mean, you could still afford to get the Chevalier out. You could, in fact, get another 2 out. In fact, he's got so much gold right now, I don't know why he actually took that central sacred site rather than just going for like the north or the south one. But we do see a villager moving forward as well, so looking to begin potentially outposting up the enemy. I suspect that's going to be the play here. And Crackety, of course, has he done much scouting of the enemy base? Doesn't really know the layout of the land just yet. Well, right on board with Dennis as he looks to try and defend this. Now, what does Dennis know? And what doesn't Dennis know? Dennis doesn't know anything just yet. We will look to see those Chevaliers coming out any second now. Nope, they're not. They're not. Look at this. He's actually holding it down over on this little position right here. I thought the Chevaliers were going to come around this corner, but instead Crackety looking to really mix things up here with an early outpost against the Rus. Now, of course, for Dennis, he's got a number of scouts out, 3 already here. Has he gone for professional scouts? He doesn't look like he's gone for professional scouts. Instead, he's just looking to push that hunt in. And now looking to trade up against the Chevaliers. You can see the Chevaliers actually doing a pretty decent job on the offense. They're only losing about half health on that first Chevalier, so they're quite effective against the Knights. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, actually, what's the attack speed of the Chevalier versus the Knight? I'm curious to see. 1.5 attack speed versus the Knight, which has also got 1.5 attack speed. So 19 base attack against 14, 2 armor against 3 armor. They're pretty comparable to a Knight. Obviously, they're not as strong. They also have 30 less health. So definitely not as strong, but still like decent. Definitely nowhere near as bad as like a horseman would be compared. So the Chevalier definitely not a bad choice here, but outpost about to come online for Crackety. Dennis obviously doesn't know about it, but he does see this wall, and immediately that's going to probably trigger a red flag for him because obviously his opponent is playing in the color red here. And pushing these deer under the town center. He's done so successfully so far, so not having to spend the resources on those professional scouts just yet. He's got amateur scouts, and they're doing a good job of it. And now diving into the outpost, it is revealed. So with this, he'll be able to wall this position off. And how does Crackety look to play from here? Well, right on board with him now as he continues to put on pressure towards the south side of this base. Taking the Sacred Site to the north for 118 gold. Second Pilgrim going to be making its way up there shortly. And Triple Knight numbers now coming out. Got to be cautious not to try and take a whole bunch of damage on a single individual Chevalier. He needs to try and balance the damage that's coming out. And you can see he's losing a lot of health on the Chevalier. The micro has been great from both of these guys so far. But unfortunately, in the end, Dennis is coming up a little bit short here against Crackety. So Crackety still with quite a lot of low health units. You've got a 10 in here, you've got a 9 in here, you've got a 23, so quite low on this. Charges come through, one of the Chevaliers will go down. The same time, the early Knight on the other side, only 1 health for the moment. And Crackety just looking to really double down as much as he can. Is he just going to play only Cav? I think only Cav is 100% viable when you're playing as the Knights Templar. We've seen it be very successful. In fact, now that I think about it, we saw Faye run only Cav. It worked very well. But Town Center firing out quite a lot of arrows. We can see it's got 11 villagers or 11 units inside of it. And doing a decent job here of just sprinkling down these units. You can see Crackety trying to defend this villager as much as he possibly can. A bit of an awkward spot here. This outpost is very aggressive. And if he is able to get through onto this other side here, it's going to be very problematic for Dennis. Of course, Dennis has got other options. He can look to come out over towards this east side. So I don't know why Crackety's gone so aggressive with this outpost when he probably could have just gone like 1 tile back and he would have avoided taking all this extra damage. You can see the town center just raining down fire from the heavens above. He's losing quite a lot of units here. Archers now also going to be coming out, curiously. I don't know why archers. We've seen this in a number of games. I don't remember if it was Dennis in that other game. Oh, it was to take out the villager. Well done, Dennis. Well done, Dennis, you absolute menace. I completely failed to realize that it was all because of that. And you can see this outpost has managed to just avoid coming up. So unfortunately for Crackety, he's not going to be able to confirm that second outpost on the other side. So well done to Dennis to recognize, hey, the archer is the key to securing this defense. And obviously did that very successfully. Now continuing to move towards the top side, the Pilgrims make their way up towards that northern spot. Second stable now going to be coming out for Crackety here. Keep in mind, no secondary town center either in this game. Now, I think at this point, Dennis could probably even look to move into a barracks. But for the moment, it looks like it's just going to be archers that he's going to be pumping. So very dangerous to do. If you want to defend, archers make a lot of sense. But pushing out with archers, obviously a little bit more dangerous, especially considering that there are a lot of Chevaliers that are undoubtedly going to be on this map shortly. But the numbers continue to build. How's the eco upgrades doing for these players? So no eco upgrades just yet for Crackety by the looks of it. I don't even think he's got... Has he got a mill down? Yeah, he's got a mill down over here. So he's got survival techniques. So not terrible, not terrible. He's also got the first level of his Pilgrim upgrade. So still needs to grab Sanctuary, but we can see he's about to click up for that one right now. So that'll take him up to a second set of Pilgrims that'll make its way out. And one thing to note with that is it's going to mean that you need to now defend with much more significance that route, that pilgrimage route towards the north. So we could even look to see him position himself in that northern area. Now checking in with Dennis and seeing how he's doing. Doesn't really have a lot of line of sight, doesn't have a lot of vision on the map, but the Chevaliers going to work their magic around the edge here. No upgrades coming through for either of these players yet on their blacksmith, though we do have Crackety with one currently in the works. 27 seconds to go for that extra +1 armor, which will obviously do quite a bit of work here against these archers that his opponents got out. And 10 minutes into this game, and Dennis so far has managed to hold it together. How's he doing on the Golden Gate? So here, this is a great opportunity for him to go into that second TC. So he can purchase stone here. Let's see if he does it or not. He could do 2 purchases together with a group of 5 and look for that second TC. Or he could potentially just purchase 3 sets of stone and then look at grabbing the arrow slits upgrade. We hear a lot of Vils all handing in at the same time, and instead he's going to opt for the high trade house. So do a little purchasing out that way. Instead, you can see he's just done a bit of trading in here, and there's a cute little way that you can technically gather up a lot more resources or gather extra resources essentially with it. Professional scouts coming through on that south side as well. High trade house towards the north. Not the best high trade house that he's going to grab, but still a decent one. Obviously, when it comes to maps, High View is one of the best when it comes to your high trade house. So playing the Rus here, he'll feel very comfortable knowing that he's got himself a pretty good map here. Second town center now on the south side of the map for Crackety here, going to be placed down on this hunt. Keep in mind, Professional Scouts is in play, so he could potentially lose those deer if he doesn't secure them. Towards the north side, we still see these wolves causing a little bit of harm up on these pilgrims. First one comes through. Now, when it comes to Castle Age ups, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Republic of Genoa come through for Crackety. It seems to make the most sense. A lot of players are tending or trending towards... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Dennis, he sees nothing except a whole bunch of Chevaliers now coming through. They've got a decent surround here. It looks like the age up will get confirmed, but he's going to lose Vils so far. It's a 1-2 split, but it might get worse before it gets better. You can see the surround still looking good, and he's trying to micro out. There we go. He gets another one. Picks up no more just yet. He's animation cancelling, but he's actually cancelling the attack. He's trying to get these last little Vils, and there we go. He's just picked up 3 in the same swing. There's another one. He's just taken out a whole bunch of villagers here, but you got to ask, you know, at what point does it make sense to keep the Vils out here versus at what point does it not? And it's so hard to know whether Dennis made the right call or not, but I think we have to take our hat off to Crackety for that micro. That was a beautiful micro. Even though he was missing a couple of attacks there, it made... In the end, it worked out very well for him. 62 trees picked up. He will now spot the second town center as well. All the villagers immediately dive in and look to try and shell down or shoot down those scouts as they come through. Of course, they might get the potential deer on the front here. Crackety not paying attention once again. He's going to go and try and take all 3 of them out. We'll probably get 2. At the very least, he's going to get 1. That second one might get... So the fact that it's out towards the edge here means that the next deer that comes, or the next scout that comes through, unless he walls it off. So this one here should be able to pick it up without too much of a hassle. Even if... Oh, whoa, yo, what are you doing? He's delivering food. Oh, he's delivering Crackety food. Poor guy. Comes in, delivers him a sheep. He could have just picked this one up right here, but it's one of those things where he probably didn't have it... He wasn't watching. Let's just put it that way. We do have another scout now coming through. The sheep has been taken out. You can see he's coming through behind here. I don't know whether or not he was paying attention. Oh, no. He's just rallied in all of these scouts. Poor Dennis, dude. Poor Dennis. I guess he just doesn't have the attention right now to deal with that. He's got a lot going on his plate. And naturally, it makes sense that his attention is probably elsewhere right now. Triple stable, quadruple stable for Crackety. Yep, we're seeing it. Yeah, okay. I'm saying it. We need to talk about the Knights Templar. Isn't it funny how, you know, and... I think this is always the way it is, right? Like, when it comes to balance, we look at something that's obviously broken and we can call that out, but it takes a while for those secondary things to be found out, and I feel like now we're only really starting to work that out. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously there was that Fae game that was quite a while ago, and I will say that one of the things about Fae is she is a bit of a trendsetter. Sorry about that, let's continue. Yeah, so Faye is definitely a bit of a trendsetter when it comes to exploring things in the meta. So I feel like she's a bit of an outlier. You can't really look at her as like a data point when it comes to those sorts of balance things. Because, like, don't get me wrong, she's obviously a good player, and when she's exploring, she's got something in mind. But when you start seeing, like, Crackety picking stuff up like this and utilizing it, that's when I'm going, okay, we might have something a little bit more mainstream starting to take hold here. Is this potentially it? Are we seeing a shift in cavalry-only strategies? I'd love to see from the side of Dennis whether or not he recognizes this and whether he goes, okay, well, you know what? You're making cav only. I'm just going to start making spears. I'm going to start making crossbows. Because despite these players being Conqueror 3, we haven't really seen people shift that much into it. You know, we've seen a lot of people, as I said, there was that Faye game where we saw heavy spearmen. And despite heavy spearmen facing off against the cavalry, the Polish cavalry, there was still, well, there were still problems. Let's just put it that way. There were Polish problems. I tell you what, I wish this damn wolf would die. We're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. We'll talk about it later because the Knights Templar and then their Templar brothers are through here. Chevaliers, Templar brother working their way through, and I suspect Dennis is going to have himself quite a bit of trouble as he works through this. You can see that the numbers are slowly cleaning up here. Crackety working his magic and able to take down the majority of these forces as more Templar brothers come through on that backside. He's focused now 100% on those Templar brothers. We'll switch it over to income per minute. We are at 16 minutes into this game now, so getting towards the pointier end of the stick. Yeah, so we're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we watch from Dennis's perspective, he's under attack here, and this is going to be triggering every, like, 5 seconds. And if we watch from Crackety's perspective, he's under attack by these wolves. So it's like, we have to kind of weave the wolves into that couple of seconds. Hold on, give me a sec. Where are the wolves? There it is. So now we switch perspective. We don't hear the wolves attack. But if we switch back to Crackety, yeah, never mind. If we switch back to no, there was a second shooter. There was a second shooter. A second wolf has hit the White House. Tell you what, there was a... Anyway, I'm not going to talk politics. I'm not going to talk politics. Anyway, Monk now in trouble here. 4 relics so far picked up for Dennis as one of those Monks gets taken out. Speaking of which, where's that 5th and final relic? I see 4 relics on the map right now. Am I blind? I'm probably blind. Where was that Monk heading? There's still 4 relics held. Down on the south side. I can see that relic. That relic is clear to me. It must be hidden somewhere. Either that or we just only got 4 relics. We'll have to go back and check at the beginning of the game and see whether or not that was the case. But a whole bunch of farms now going to start coming down for Crackety. Keep in mind that second TC has been pumping for quite a bit here. So he's going to have a pretty progressed economy. On top of that, the extra wood generation from these villages is definitely worthwhile. Obviously, on the side of the Roost, we do also have that extra wood generation coming through from the Wooden Fortress. So that's another consideration to make here, that we're both getting bonuses towards farm transitions. Templar brother now going to chase after this knight. And Crackety 100% cavalry. Still moving into 100% cav. So now we see a shift from Dennis. So it's crossbows together with knights. And this is something that I actually did in my testing quite a while ago. So basically, I sat down with Konoki. He's another Age of Empires player, and he loves theory crafting, this kind of stuff. And I said, okay, if we know that knights are really good, what's the best way that we can beat them? And so we were like, okay, knight's crossbow, let's try that. Knight's crossbow absolutely destroys knight only. And then we're like, okay, well, how do you destroy knight crossbow then? And the answer was interesting. It was knight horseman, but it was only if you had better micro. So you had to have quite decent micro, because your horsemen have to be hitting crossbows. What happened there with all the smoke? Jeez, a whole bunch of smoke just came out of nowhere. Oh my god. Okay, finally he's cleaned up those wolves. But yeah, it really came down to micro, because your horsemen need to be hitting ranged units, and you don't really care too much about your knights. It's basically just about the horsemen. And if you can get on top of the enemy, then you're fine. So crossbow together with knights should be able to beat full knight. Even if Crackety micro as well. I mean, maybe if he gets like a full 360 surround, it's going to be a bit different. But Templar brothers now going to be making their way towards all this massive crossbow, and he's not kiting at all. Dennis is just standing still. Okay, now looking to try and get a bit of distance between him, but there is quite a number of Knights Templar units here on the field. He's worked down a huge amount of this mass. Archers just standing back on this single point. And of course, in the end, that crossbow mass has really been hurt quite a bit. The fact that Crackety was able to jump on him before he was really able to build up that one-shot mass, because that's what you're aiming for. You essentially want a mass of crossbows that can one-shot a cavalry unit, and at that point, it becomes very difficult to lose that power. The one-shot is the break point. So now that he's lost that, it's going to mean that Dennis needs to invest even more resources to get back to that point. Now, of course, Crackety lost quite a bit in here. We can see he's down to only 3 Templar brothers. So I suspect he probably will get up there in the end. But we do now see the second town center coming through from Dennis. So a little bit more of a focus on the economy. So I kind of wonder here, okay, how does Dennis go about playing this the best way? Because I feel like you can probably, realistically at this point, you could probably just mass units in Castle Age. The trouble that you're going to have is that inevitably when Poland comes in, that's an immediate extra 50% charge damage. And this is the trouble, right? Because the Knights Templar, they just play a huge amount of Templar brothers. And what do we know about the Templar brothers? They get bonus charge damage, okay? They get gain 2 charge damage per nearby charging heavy cavalry. So they're already getting bonuses to their charge, which by the way is 37 damage. So 37, if they're all charging, then you're talking, 47 damage. But on top of that, you also get the extra 50% charge damage from Poland. So now all of a sudden, you're talking about a ridiculous amount of extra damage that is just coming through the moment that you hit the age up. And that's always one of the big things about aging up. There is a weak point. The moment that you click up is your weakest point. Once you've aged up, you get a little bit of power. Once you get your upgrades through, you get a bit more power. But at that point, you are the weakest. And the thing to note with the Knights Templar, the age up is quite fast. If I remember correctly, it's 45 seconds for the age up. And because of that, you can be pretty much up immediately with your opponent not knowing that you've clicked up, so they can't really rush you down. And the moment you've aged up, then immediately you're going to have that extra, your extra health from Poland, as well as the extra charge damage. And on top of that, you'll have your upgrades coming through very, very quickly. We can see right here the Warrior Monk doing a little bit of work up towards the north as it gets healed up. Meanwhile, Crackety's still just really looking to put the pressure on over towards this west side of the map. No sprinkled outpost, sprinkled emplacement rather, just yet. Just arrived. Perfectly timed. Knight numbers looking decent as well. Has he picked up his bonus? He's got Boyer's Fortitude, and it looks like he's also picked up... actually, no, I take it back. I don't think he's picked up the polearms just yet. Is that an Imperial upgrade? We'll have to double check. Yeah, it's an Imperial Age upgrade. So an extra 4 damage, the poleaxe upgrade. So he could look to go imp. I don't think Dennis going imp here is the Dennis. If Dennis went imp, it's a bad call, I think. From his perspective, the best thing he can do is keep pumping with his 2 town centers, wall up, which is exactly what he's doing, transition to farms, and just pump. I would be almost tempted to say crossbow knight is probably the right call, just because you need mobility, right? You could run crossbow spear, but how do you play that? You would have, if you're going to play crossbow spear, you have to segment your base, and you have to play for Imperial Age. I don't think you can do that through a Castle Age. But then you'll also need to be playing around resources. So it means that you can't really do segmentation out here. So you're going to really open yourself up to quite a wide window of potential attack. But I think the biggest thing for Dennis right now is you see how he's pushing with these low number of crossbows? This is not good. He needs to be able to one-shot these Templar brothers. And every fight that he takes where he's not one-shotting them, it's going to be really bad for him. And you can see he's only getting to about 60 to 65% of the damage on those. And Templar brothers just surround them completely. There's no protection whatsoever. He's completely outnumbered. And this is going to go from bad to worse here as Crackety is just pulling him apart. The crossbows are really getting flanked, getting outnumbered, getting just out-hammered in all of these fights. And more crossbows now going to come up the rear, together with some reinforcing cavalry. It looks like he might be able to take this fight, but at the same time, Crackety's numbers still stand very strong here. So at the end of the day, it's going to be Crackety who pulls ahead in this game. Crossbows continue to get thrown away. And look, initially I was thinking to myself, okay, we need to talk about Knights Templar in the direction, but I can't help but feel there's a part of this which is Dennis's own doing, in the sense that the crossbows have never been allowed to mass themselves up, and it's through actions of his own, right? Like, this push didn't need to happen. We could have just gone up here with a bunch of knights. We didn't have to bring the crossbows as well. And yeah, it was unfortunate, but now he's looking to try and hold out this position. Crackety could be looking for an Imperial Age, judging by these numbers. He is still spending quite a bit of resources and rallying more units through. Templar brothers looking very good, very strong at this point. More charges come through. And he's still mixing in Chevaliers. I wonder what the idea here is with the Chevaliers. I guess he's just trying to help out a little bit because you get that extra little bit of support. Is that the play? But even here, like, even despite the fact that we're going crossbows together with Lancers, I mean, it doesn't even really look close. I think Dennis has got to move into spears. At this point, if you're playing as Dennis, how do you possibly win this game? The Knights need to go raid. You need to try and shut these down, but Knights need to start raiding because they're not raiding. That's the first thing. We need to wall up more, so we need to wall up as much as we can. Ideally, we want to try and segregate or segment our base as much as we can with walls. Just make it very hard for the enemy to get through. And it doesn't have to be a big wall with lots of vills building it. It could just be one wall that's built slowly. Another fortress coming down on the South Sacred Site as well. So I think that's important. And then just building up a decent army and allowing yourself to actually get to the point where you can contest your opponent. Because if you keep fighting like this, you're just throwing away units over and over, right? We'll have to wait and see how he looks to play this. Crackety on the other side, though. Numbers continue to build. He's got 7 Templar brothers in queue, adding in another fortress down on this south side. Looking to really try and box his opponent out. Knows that he wants to go for this gold. He's got additional golds that he can fall back on, so it's not a huge problem if he can't secure it. Where are the other big golds on this map? Oh my lord, look at this gold. How I mean, it's not really favored towards Crackety. It's just that Crackety expanded down here. So it feels like it's really favored towards Crackety because it's right next to his town center. But then you're like, well, I mean, to be fair, this town center, like, you could have built this town center here. It's still kind of favored. It's still kind of favored. Okay, first part of the plan is definitely on course. So now what we want to do is split up the Knights. Don't have them all in the same direction. Send one out over here, one down over here, one in every single direction. If your APM can keep up. That's the game plan from here. We want to try and force Crackety to be chasing us. We want to idle as many vills as we possibly can. He's heading to the Stealth Forest. This is exactly what he needs to do. And there we go. Now the split coming through, but look at the reaction from Crackety. Immediately sending one Templar brother off towards that single knight that gets split off from the main pack. The rest of these guys going to continue to follow. And also at the same time, we've got a push coming on the front. Crossbow number's still quite low. He's only sitting at 9 crossbows at the moment. Another knight gets pushed off, and the majority of these ones going to get caught out of position. So Crackety handles this perfectly. And you can see that he's chasing all of these behind the scenes. So didn't split in the Stealth Forest, and as a result, he gets found out. So unfortunate there from him. But yeah, I mean, Crackety's just absolutely a world ahead of Dennis at this stage. How does Dennis possibly bring this back in? He's still moving into Knight Crossbow. How do I say this nicely? I mean, do you even bother? No, you know what? People should be... Okay, you need to be making spears against Templar brother. Initially, I was going to frame this video as we need to talk about the Knights Templar. No, we don't need to talk about the Knights Templar. We need to talk about how you actually deal with this civilization. Because the answer is the spear. Let me explain. Okay, you've got charges that occur. This is a charge right here. And what the spearman does is the spearman blocks that charge. It cancels it out completely. You never get the charge off. So much so that, as an example, if you charge with a French knight and you get hit with a spear, it's not going to proc your extra damage that you get after the charge. It just completely cancels it out. And because of that, you need to be playing into spearmen against the Knights Templar. You can't just be playing a standard playstyle. You can't be playing crossbow knights because you're just going to get outcharged every single time. And speaking of charge, we've got the rule of Templars now coming through for an extra +2 damage on all units that are charging nearby that are heavy cavalry. So it means that if you've got 33 units, and of course the Kingdom of Poland is coming through. I mean, we didn't need to have any guesses about what age up it was going to be here. We knew it was going to be the Kingdom of Poland. But when we consider just how much damage is coming through on these, okay, this is 37 lance damage. Add 2 for every single one of these units that's around it. So you're talking an extra 70 damage, and then you're about to get an extra 50% damage on top of that, and then your elite upgrades that come through as well. Like, it's not even fair, dude. It's not even fair. Crackety going to be taking a fight right here as he's aging up. A little bit of a mistake. I'd wait for the age up, and now the charge comes through. How much is on these charges? We didn't actually click them as they were coming through, but he's found a whole bunch of knights here towards the front, almost baited himself, or baited his opponent into it, and now the cleanup is coming through. 29 minutes into this game, Imperial Age hits, and immediately that's going to be rewarding him additional health on these cavalry units, as well as that extra charge damage. Elite Templar brothers also going to be coming through, and Crackety here just playing a pixel-perfect game. Crossbows over the stone, or over the wood line, should be able to help him out, and we can see right there, 56 lance damage. Is that the base? I think that's the base that it's got at the moment. So you got 56 lance damage as the base, and then however much it is when they're charging. I want to see exactly how silly this number gets up, because remember, we're going to have elite upgrades coming through as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we have biology in the next couple of minutes either. Of course, it takes a little bit longer to have, or to get upgraded. I think it's about 90 seconds for biology. All 3 sacred sites still held, and Krakeny here looking very good. But this is going to be the #1 mistake against Knights Templar, especially because, I mean, really, I mean, it's in the name, Knights Templar. There's not many Knights, but if you think Knights are the way to play against the Knights Templar, you are sorely mistaken, my friend. I think you have to be playing spears. There's the elite upgrade now with a total of 66 lance damage on their chargers. And remember, that is going to continue to increase as you've got more and more of them around that are all going to be charging at the same time. So everybody gets bonus damage when the charges go off. And there's nothing to stop those charges. Just remember, he is going to completely decimate any army he goes up against. And already at the moment, you can see that the numbers continue to build up for Denis here. But at the end of the day, even though you've got 33 crossbows, you needed these 33 crossbows like 10 minutes ago. I can't help but feel it's too late. And he's doing a really good job with segmenting the defense, exactly how he should be doing. Just like this. This is very painful to deal with. But my fear is it might already be over, and we can see now the Templar brothers make their way through the battlefield. Biology is indeed on the way. We also see some upgrades coming through, some trebuchet emplacements for him. And now looking to focus down the palisade, the fortified palisade wall. Instead going to focus, yeah, does the right thing, gets the wall up. There's a beautiful little spot for it. Where are the crossbows? Where are the crossbows? Why are the crossbows up here? Did he get baited out or something, potentially? Needs to start repairing that wall immediately. Oh, he's in trouble. Oh, he's in big trouble. Oh, he's in massive trouble. Let's see these charges. 170 lance. Are you serious, bro? We got to talk about these Knights Templar. Let's enjoy the cinematics right here as Krakeny here waltzes into the base. Crossbow number's still looking good. Okay, you know what? There's actually a world where this defense is good. Like, this doesn't look that powerful, this number that we're witnessing right here. He's going to go after villagers instead. Splits it on every single angle. You can see the crossbows working down these Templar brothers. And now to the south side of the map, the Knight's going to follow them up. At the same time, reinforcements come in and clean up the trebuchets. I don't know why there's so many trebuchets. I mean, I understand he's got to break the sacred sites, but at the end of the day, it's like, how do we even get to that point? It feels so hopeless to try and deal with that. Templar brothers still chasing around these villagers, doing a wonderful job. How many has he taken out already in this game? Let's go check in on that north side as well. Bill count, oh, it's fallen. It's fallen very quick. He's taken out 45 bills already this game. 446 health on the Templar. That is ridiculous. That is so much health, dude. The power creep in Age of Empires 4 is real, and it can hurt you. Like, that is insane power creep. I remember the good old days of, like, talking about how, you know, which one was best, the French Knight or the Rus Knight, and it turned out the English Knight was the best because it got more attack speed. And then you just look at the number on these Templar brothers where it's like, yeah, I've got 446 health and 170 lance damage. It's like, what even is that, dude? That's ridiculous. But as I said, like, the whole idea, the whole key to this is the fact that you should have spearmen so that you stop that charge. And I think, like, this is the one secret to beating the Knights Templar. How to counter oh my lord, look at the amount of pilgrims he's got out here. 130 gold on each of these. Extra 20% going to be coming through from treasure towers, as well as that extra 30% coming through from the Republic of Genoa, if they can make the trek. And you can see that he's trying his best to get there, but Denis, of course, unaware that there are pilgrims heading through. Just chilling out for the moment. Keep in mind, he wants that siege, those siege engines he had before, of course, got taken out. And 203 gold now coming through on each of these pilgrims. A huge amount of gold now being generated. I think that was 6 pilgrims. So you're talking about 1,200 gold that just comes through. I like this guy. This is my guy right here. Yeah, just let him know. Go around for that last little bit of a stroll. Tell him. I think it might be the monk that's, like, upsetting the pathing, or it could just be that there's too many units at this point that are, like, trying to hand in their gold at the same time, and as a result he goes for a bit of a weird wonky path. All right, pushing up once again. Have a look at the number difference. Okay, you know what, Denis is actually in a really good position here. 58 crossbows, 40 knights. What's he? Oh, we've got the Schlatter cavalry. More than double the army right now for Denis compared to Krakeny. He's going to go for the charge. Let's take a look and see exactly how he's able to do it. And now all those numbers moving towards the front. Schlatter around the top side. He's looking to try and surround. Not really. He's not focusing with the crossbows. You need to be focusing. You can't just be spreading out your crossbow attack. Look at the numbers, how quickly they've fallen. And all of these Schlatter, 472 health. Templar brothers, 446. And now the crossbows continue to kite backwards, but the number was just too... Oh my god, dude. Look how quickly the tables turned. Look how quickly these tables turned. I mean, to be fair, like, he's spamming out units the whole time, so there's reinforcements coming in, but wow, dude. Just wow. Absolute wow. Wow. I mean, Imperial versus Castle, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Go check them out. Links in the description, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Poland, hey. It's kind of good. It's kind of good.